Reading you loud and clear, General. To review the movie Doom. Talk about it honestly and possible. Orders received and notified. Over and out. Semper Fi, motherfucker! Doom. I love this movie. Don't judge me. I'm gonna take my glasses off for this one. Doom is, in my opinion, the biggest guilty pleasure of my life. And there's a story behind this, but I want to talk about it. Doom is a movie I've always wanted to review on this channel because it's the whole thing about everything with Doom has a big important thing with my life, not just the movie, but the video games. I grew up with Doom. Doom, in my opinion, is my favorite video game of all time, the original Doom. I really enjoy the sequel, Doom the Hell on Earth, and Doom 3 is one of my favorite top 5 video games of all time, and that is going to be an upcoming review. I am going to be reviewing the video game Doom 3. I just pre-ordered it on a new 360 I bought. I'm going to play it. We'll go into that later. But Doom is such a big thing in my life. This is a big inspiration to me. I remember days after going and playing football at camp for freshman year. Buddies and I would get a Nintendo out. We would play Doom, which was the best first person and what is known as the greatest first person shooter of all time. And that was really interesting. And I loved playing it. I loved going through this and just shooting stuff and killing monsters. It to this day is my favorite video game of all time, and I played it online. It's so fun. I'm very, very excited and hope they do not screw up the new Doom game. I played some of the beta. I'm really, really, really interested in this. Please, please don't screw this up, Batista. This is all you. This is my most anticipated game of the year, so I hope it doesn't suck. I'm going to play the campaign and the multiplayer and review that in a couple weeks. But in celebration of Ratchet and Clank coming out this week and Doom coming out in a couple weeks, I get to review Get the Movie Pleasure, and I wanted to do Doom, and I'm going to go in it. Doom came out in 2005. This was a movie that I remember not really knowing much about before I saw it. This was actually the first rated R film I've ever watched. Ever. And I remember, here's a little story from Chris Day. It's a little short, but enjoy. It's a good one. My friend Travis and I were like big on video games. We would go over, I would spend the night at this house every once in a while. I was not a guy who liked to go over to a friend's house every once in a while. I was very dependent on my parents and just staying with them. But my friend Travis was like one of the only guys I would go over with for the night because they were kind of like family to me. So whenever they were like a cousin or a brother. So whenever we went over, we always would watch a movie. Like the big movies we watched that came out in the early 2000s, we would watch. We watched Star Wars all the time. We watched Lord of the Rings, was very popular in that time. We would watch the first one over and over again. There were so many movies we watched. Lords of Dogtown was one I remember because that was the first thing I ever saw nudity in a movie. That was the first time I ever saw nudity in a movie. Yeah, we actually went behind my parents' back a few minutes later and watched Troy, and we got in trouble for it. But man, was it worth it? It seemed, but I didn't really need to see Brad Pitt's ass. But Doom was the first R-rated movie I told. We played so many games. Like, I was big on Xbox. Xbox was my favorite console. It was the first console I ever got, and the first game I ever got was Halo. So we always would play that, and he also had a PS2. So he asked me to come over, and we would watch this movie called Doom, which was a really awesome movie, and I've heard it was pretty cool. And it had The Rock in it and Carl Urban. So I really was intrigued by it. My mom's like, what's it rated? I'm like, I think it's rated R. And they had to have the parent talk, and she looked it up on the site called Plugged In, which was this Christian-based site because we're a Christian family. And she goes up to me and she says, okay, you are now 9 years old. Actually, you're 10. That was 2006. You're 10 years old now. You're getting to be a big, big boy. You may watch the movie. I was so excited. I went with friends. We went and played outside for a while, played basketball, came home, watched the movie. And I remember loving this movie. And then the movie, as an adult, I realized this movie sucks. But I love every single second of it. This movie is so bad, that it's good, and it's a complete failure as a video game adaptation because it is not reliable at all. Nothing about this movie is reliable to the game, but I still love it. The script is atrocious. It's one of the worst scripts of all time. The acting is terrible. And there's things about this movie where I really enjoy. There's so much I have, but there is a lot of problems. And I also remember it's because my mom didn't know, we watched the unrated cut. And the unrated cut had nudity in it. So that was the first time I think I ever saw full-fledged boobies. So that was nice. Still, I sound like a pervert that. Just forgive me. I had so much fun with this movie. I really did. This is my biggest guilty pleasure of all. Okay, I don't care. The Rock. When hearing The Rock is in this movie, you may be thinking, oh, the guy who just did The Rundown and Walking Tall. He is the best part of this movie. He saves every single second of this movie. From Semper Fi, motherfucker, to some other scenes. I'm going to go into it in a bit, but he is the best part of this movie. He knew this movie was going to suck, and he still went through with it anyway. I think this is the best bad movie he's done because he's had ones later on. Tooth Fairy. Let's move on from that. But he does realize this movie is bad and he worked to his perfection. Rosamund Pike's in this movie. She's bad, but she works on kind of a level where she's trying to make it work. Karl Urban was great, even though I think he was the one who was really the best performance of the film because he actually tried to be dramatic and he pulled it off in ways. Some of the other cast members, my God, they were awful. The one who plays the kid, I thought he was incredibly annoying. The kid who plays Portman, the guy, oh my God, he was in Batman Begins. Oh my God, he was awful. The stuff with him and all the she-boys and all crap, I wanted him to die. I still think he's annoying to this day. Destroyer was cool. Portman was annoying. Pinky, I love Pinky. If you don't know who Pinky is, he recently just directed Eddie the Eagle, and he's a big actor. Louis Fletcher, so great in that movie. Duke, I really like Duke. I did. I thought he was funny. I always liked the woman. I like how they said that him and Destroyer had this background. I know I'm getting into the movie. I love this movie. Goat, and who was the last one? Did I miss one? Mac. Don't judge me. I know all these guys. Also, you got the Dr. Cormac. I know. So what this movie basically is about is these guys are like a SEAL team, kind of like a military SEAL team in the future, and they are sent to do missions. Well, they have to go to Mars because something's going wrong with the scientists, and they pretty much face demons on Earth. And I've seen like Comic-Con footage with The Rock talking about like how they didn't represent hell on Earth, and he said that the representation of the film is whenever they're in there, it's hell. It really is hell, and I completely agree. The movie just goes right into it. You get the introduction of the characters, and that's like a minute in, and then you're right into the action, and I love that. The movie's only like an hour and 45 minutes, and it goes by quick, and I enjoy that. The action is pretty messy at points. Those scenes with all that big giant creature, which the creature by Stan Winston is fantastic. The first hour or so with the big creatures, all were prosthetic. There were no CGI except for the end, which we'll talk about in a little bit. They were never CGI. They never were, and I love that. I thought that was fantastic. They never were CGI, and that's what I liked about the movie. It never focused on the CGI, besides the end of the film, which we'll get into, and the fights and all that. But I like how they made it like a monster movie, and then the end it got full-fledged fucking assaults, and I love that. But you got to at least know the characters at first, and you got to know stuff about them that you really enjoyed. And I'm going to go into spoiler territory now, so if you've not seen Doom and you do want to watch it, skip the rest of this video. Give you one. 3, 2, 1. You've been warned. Pretty much everybody but Karl Urban and Rosamund Pike survive. Everybody dies. Because when you have a movie like this, you got to kill people. The stuff that happens, like seeing, I was so glad Portman died. The way he did, and all that. Goat dying with the creature, I thought that was a good move. Mac getting his head chopped off. Jesus Christ, that was freaking crazy. Destroyer, I like how Duke was so upset because of his death, because these two had a thing together. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was a great aspect of going into it. Pretty much everything that happens, Duke dies. The scene where Duke gets pulled down was crazy when all of the monsters are coming up. But I love the scene where The Rock, before he becomes the big twist at the end of the film, before he becomes the evil Rock, he dies. He goes through the little thing and says, "I'm not supposed to die." And just, I thought that was cool. I thought that was always cool because they like know that they paid respect to like the game, how you don't want to die, you're never supposed to die, and I love that. The movie has terrible lines. The scene where Portman's talking about, "What are you doing, Portman?" R&R in the start and 3 she-boys. Or the famous Rock line, "Semper Fi, motherfucker." Oh my god. The scene with the kid, where the kid wanted to get these people out, and The Rock's trying to follow orders, and that he's a soldier, and he doesn't need to do it, and he shoots the kid. That scene was kind of intense, and it was very interesting to know that he's trying to do his job, and then he has to take out all the targets. That's their job, and that's all they can do. But let's talk about the first-person action scene. It's freaking amazing. It's freaking fantastic. It's the best part of the movie. You go into this first-person base look, and it's like you're in the game, and it's that part CGI. But I think it works for the most part. The scenes that you get through this film with all the first-person is pretty freaking awesome because it goes in depth on it, and it really just makes you feel like you're in a video game. Rosamund Pike and Karl Urban's character are brother and sister, and you flesh out the story, and you get a lot more. I really enjoyed that for what it was doing. But the best part of the movie is The Rock and the Karl Urban fight scene. The Rock, there's a big twist where he turns evil, and they start fighting. It's freaking awesome. It's 7 minutes. It's awesome. It's pretty cool. The way it looks, though, in the end when he's turning evil, his horrible effects. But it's good. The movie is terrible. It is a very awful movie. The Rock dies, but the gun he uses, oh my god, the big fucking gun. The BFG, what they call Big Fucking Gun. Oh my god, I wanted that gun for so long. I played that game so many times, and I just wanted that gun. That gun was fucking amazing. But that's it. That's my review of Doom. I really enjoyed this movie. I do. It's the biggest guilty pleasure of mine of all time. This is the first R-rated movie I ever saw, and this is a movie that still, to this day, has problems. It is awful. But to my knowledge, in my opinion, it's probably one of the best video game adaptations we've had so far. Even though it's not faithful, I still really enjoy the movie for what it is, and that's why it's my biggest guilty pleasure. If I had to grade it, I would give it a B+, because of nostalgia purposes, but I don't grade on these. But guys, that's my thoughts on Doom. Now it's up to you guys. Tell me what you guys think down below. If you hate or love Doom, I'd love to hear what you guys think. Next week, we're starting a new segment called First Impressions. This is where I watch a movie I've never seen, we talked about before, and then I go after. In celebration of Video Game Week next week, we will be watching the very first time the 1994 disaster that was Street Fighter with Jean-Claude Van Damme. I have never seen it. So that is going to be the first time I'm ever going to watch it. I cannot wait to show you guys my thoughts. So that is it, guys. This upcoming weekend, Monday, I am seeing Civil War. Finally. That review will be up Tuesday morning. Wednesday, I will try to get my review on my Why Mother's Day is Horrible. And then this upcoming Friday, I also have a very big opinion I want to talk about on why video game movies suck. Because we need to go into that. So guys, I'll get into that and what video games need to do to be good and do that. But we're going to talk about why video games movies, I'm going to call it the history of video game adaptations and why some of them don't work and why some should. I'm just going to about the history of video game adaptations and in films. Why it needs to work. That will be coming up on Friday. Can't wait to show that to you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching as always. If you guys like this, like, share, subscribe with your friends, and have a great Chris Day. Semper Fi, motherfucker. Can you smell what The Rock is cooking?